Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Steadfast podcast. I'm Jessie Evans. I'm a psychotherapist and I own Steadfast Christian Counseling and Charleston Integrative Counseling in Charleston. It's exciting to say that. I've got some announcements to make in light of that before we start today. We are excited that Charleston Integrative is officially launching. And we are now doing consultations and we're going to be open to appointments starting January 1. But Charleston Integrative it's been a dream of mine for the last decade. And my friend Amy, who owns Charleston Functional Medicine, is moving into our space, our West Ashley space. And we're going to be able to provide that care for that we have just been dreaming about. So if you are a woman and you're dealing with anxiety, depression, and you really want some deeper answers, now you're going to be able to get that integration with lifestyle change, with supplements, with lab work, with nutritional changes that will be totally individualized care for you, along with the great therapy that we can provide for you. And that Charleston Integrative is going to be right under that Steadfast umbrella. So if you'd like that faith integration in your care, we can provide that for you as well. So we are so pumped. So I'll tell you a quick little story before we jump into today's podcast. But Amy and I met, it was probably 10 years ago now, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. But we were actually in a home group together. And Corey and I were hosting the home group at our house. And I remember the first time I met Amy, that night we were having just finger foods or whatever. And she comes in with these cookies that are just free of all the bad stuff. And immediately my ears kind of perked up, this lady gets it, And so we started talking, and our first conversation, I kid you not, was about SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've found my person. So over the last several years, it's been a dream of hers to open up a functional medicine practice here in the city. And I just always knew that she and I would partner in some way. And so, it's all kind of come together over the last year. She's moving into our space, and Charleston Integrative is happening. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our Steadfast website, and then right on our there, you'll see a little drop down, and it'll say Charleston Integrative, our sister company, and you can click on that, and that'll take you to the Charleston Integrative website. Just click that button, you'll get a free consultation. We can hear about what you need, and we can get you started. We also have a website. It's charleston-integrative-counseling.com, and you can get there kind of both ways. But we're on that Steadfast website. The other big announcement that we have rolling into the holidays is we're having a women's retreat. So I would say of our 9 therapists, counting me on the team, almost all of us, probably 6 out of 9 of us, I think, maybe more, have served in ministry to some capacity over the years. Been on church staff, done some sort of ministry ourselves. And so we were in a team meeting this fall, and we just were like, why aren't we need to have a women's retreat. That's, I just kind of threw the idea out there. And everyone was like, yes, we need to do this. And so we kind of, again, just sort of the pieces kind of fell into place. And there's a sweet little church here on James Island called New Beginnings. And we reached out to them, and they were like, yes, come. And so they're going to host us. And so on January 25th, tickets are live for that right now on our website. It's going to be a 1-day, 10 to 5 o'clock event. You're going to have 3 keynotes from 3 different therapists. The name of the conference is Grace in Space. And so across the whole day, how to sort of understand, when we think of that word grace, we're going to liken it to security. And so the security and grace that we have within the Godhead that produces that freedom or that space to then, as we say a lot on this podcast, move about the cabin, to go after your dreams, to be creative, to be who God's made you to be. and to run freely in that. Run that race that's set before you freely. And so in that first session, we're going to kind of talk about that. Then Annalise is going to kind of get into, okay, how do I then, with all of those parts within me, those different emotions that are in conflict at different times, think about the movie Inside Out, like that's kind of our internal world. How do I provide that grace to myself, that safety to myself, that acceptance to myself and all my parts, that then produces that internal freedom? And then in light of those first two buckets that are very overlapping, we have the third bucket, which is how do we walk that out together? How do we provide that grace, that safety for one another that then produces that space or that freedom to like walk together, to run together this race that's set before us, because it's a collective thing. And so it's going to be just a wonderful day. We're so pumped up just about the opportunity to get to sort of share in this sort of way. It's funny, I was having a conversation with my sister-in-law at our Halloween party that we had here for my son's baseball team. And we were talking about the fact that like at women's retreats, like women just come in just ready to do the work. We don't need to like have a warm up. We don't need to like, it's like we come in like open and ready. And so just come that way, come like just expectant. And yeah, we're super pumped up about it. And then throughout the day, there's going to be space to reflect and kind of talk about things. So that element of like grace and space will also be present like within the day. We specifically said it in January as well, because we want this time to also be a time that can kind of get you excited about like kind of just thinking forward over 2025, and just as women, like individually, like what's the year going to be? Like, what are you excited about? What do you kind of have vision for? What are you excited about moving into? And so it'll be sort of a time to sort of look ahead as well. And you'll kind of have the space to do that. Again, that kind of that grace and space language, because sometimes we have to sort of unplug ourselves from the day-to-day demands to have some space to sort of think and be and sit. And so we're super excited about that. Tickets are only $35 for the whole day. You're really going to get kind of a therapy intensive for the day. And bring your friends. We've got a taco truck that's going to deliver for us for lunch. And so it'll just be a time you can come and enjoy and have a day. So come have a day with us. Give the tickets out as gifts. That'd be a great Christmas gift. But those tickets are live. You can go to our website, look at community resources, and then in that drop down, you'll see Grace and Space Women's Conference right there. Click on that, hit get my seat, and it'll take you right to the form, and you can go ahead and sign up for that. Yeah, please come and share that time with us. We're super excited about it. So wanted to kind of share those two big announcements, a lot of big things going on. And today, though, I really want to talk about a topic that I think a lot of people don't fully understand when they start therapy, and it's the importance of frequency of therapy. So I want to give you like a quick analogy that is kind of close to home for me, but it's a little bit, I mean, it is what it is. It's this time of year, but especially if you have like a family where one person gets one thing and then it like kind of spreads like wildfire through your family. But so I started working with a personal trainer this fall. To be honest with you, like I used to be an athlete, but like honestly, since I have had kids, which, my oldest is 13. And so for about the last probably 14 years or so, I guess, I just really have not like worked out consistently. And it used to be such a big part of my life. Like I loved to weight train and I loved like all of like that type of thing. I actually almost like did that. Like right after college, I went and got like a strength and conditioning certification, and I wanted to work at university and do this. But so it used to be like a big part of my life. But since I've had kids, I mean, just, life has set in. But I was like, okay, this year, I just turned 44. I want to I want to get back to like being strong. I want to spend the next couple decades of my life like, feeling more fit than I have the last 20. And so I started with a personal trainer. And so I was feeling great. Like I was making gains, I was improving my form. But then, of course, like 'tis the season to be jolly and have sickness in your home. And so what happens when you have 5 kids? Like it's dominoes, you know? So somebody gets sick, then the next person, and so on. And so I've missed 2 weeks at the gym this month. And so this past Monday I go back and guess what? Like I'm not as strong. My form is, my trainer had to like reteach me things. And so I lost some traction that I was getting. And that's exactly what happens in therapy when we miss sessions and we don't stick to our frequency. So I want to talk to you about 2 phases of therapy. And I explain this to people whenever they do consultations with me, but I think it's important to kind of teach about this topic. And so when you begin therapy, you enter what's called the working phase. And I want you to think about this, like in light of the story I just told you, as the like, let's get strong part of your counseling journey, right? You are learning proper form, you're like all of those types of things, like you're building these habits. And what's crucial here is weekly sessions. Yeah, like weekly sessions. And so just like lifting weights, repetition and frequency build mental and emotional muscle memory. So in therapy, we're working to build new habits. We are challenging unhelpful thought patterns. We're healing deeper emotional wounds. And really, no matter what modality you're using, the research backs this up. The frequency matters. According to the APA, that's the American Psychological Association, consistent weekly therapy, especially in those first 8 to 12 weeks, has the greatest impact on improvement. So whether you're working through anxiety, depression, trauma, relationship issues, it doesn't matter. The frequency matters in all of those cases. So why is that? It's because of this. So regular sessions allow you to build trust and rapport with your therapist. You build that attachment relationship, which allows you to experience the safety to then feel the freedom, which is what we're going to be talking about at our women's conference. Second reason, you get deeper traction on core issues that you're tackling. Things are fresh every week. Your defenses don't have time to sort of build up. You're do some work and then you come back in and you build the next week on the work that you've done. It's almost like too, like if you think about a garden, like when we think about core beliefs or thought patterns, if we're doing CBT, like we're almost sort of kind of weeding a garden. And so you kind of have to stay on top of that to get the soil healthy. So also, you get to experience the wins each week. You feel the improvement, which is motivating, right? So you see that steady progress without having to reteach yourself or backtrack like I did at the gym. So when I was going weekly, I was experiencing like, okay, I'm doing more weight every time and I'm not as sore as I was that first week. And I'm feeling stronger, right? And so when I miss a couple weeks, it's like hitting that pause at the gym. You lose your rhythm, you lose your strength, you lose some of that motivation even. When you miss, it becomes easier and easier to miss more. And it's not that you can't regain that, you can. But it does take a little bit more energy to get you back on track. Okay, so that's why it's important in that working phase to just go ahead and commit to like 8 to 12 weeks in a row. Get in there, get the habit of going to therapy, and get that work done. So the second phase of therapy is called the maintenance phase. And so after you've done the heavy lifting and you've done all that weeding in your garden and you really are feeling healthier, then you'll eventually move into a maintenance phase. And so this is where you go from weekly sessions to bi-weekly or even monthly check-ins. It's like maintaining those gains that you, if we're going back to our gym analogy, you're maintaining your gains, right? So I'm going into a maintenance phase over the next couple weeks of traveling. So my trainer said, you need to at least be working out once a week to stay where you are. And that's sort of what this phase of therapy is. So we do that working phase, we feel healthier, and then we move into a maintenance phase where we're staying with where we are. We're still showing up, but we're focused on keeping momentum rather than pushing for big breakthroughs. So at this stage, therapy is about preventing relapse into old habits or thought patterns. It's about kind of fine tuning. So during that working phase, you're going to be picking up on things, and you're going to be learning how to notice. Like, you're really going to work on that muscle of noticing, that internal noticing. And so when you move into a maintenance phase, you're able to bring in each week, like, hey, I know this happened and I noticed something. And then that's something you can process that time with your therapist. That's where I am with my therapist now. And so to be able to sort of kind of work through the month on that internal noticing and then bring in things to her and discuss, like, yeah, like this came up, like, you know, and so then we're sort of maintaining that growth in that emotional health journey. So let me give you a quick recap on why frequency matters. Here's what I want you to take away today. Therapy works, and it works best when you commit to the process. So if you're starting therapy, commit to the working phase. Get in there, weekly sessions for as long as necessary, and you and your therapist will kind of work on that together with your treatment plan and your goals. Build that trust. Strengthen those emotional muscles. And then as you gain traction, then you shift into maintenance. And just like with physical workouts, life's going to get in the way, right? Like, I'm going to tell you, like, your kids are going to get sick, schedules go haywire. And honestly, also, like, you can just be tempted to cancel because it feels too hard sometimes. But if you commit to showing up, even imperfectly showing up, just like at the gym. So it's like you could have had a rough night, like maybe I'm not as hydrated as I need to be. Getting there, showing up makes the difference. And you got this. And you're considering therapy, remember that consistency matters. And if you miss a week, don't beat yourself up. It's all right. Just get back in there and keep building. So if you're ready to take that next step, head over to the website, charleston.integrativecounseling.com or steadfastchristiancounseling.com. Click that book now button. Come on in for a free consultation. Figure out if we're a good fit for your needs. We've got a great team here in Charleston that is ready to support you through the working phase and beyond. So guys, Merry Christmas. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm wearing my Merry hat that my son picked out for me. I'll tell you, that's one of the blessings of having teenagers is I feel like my wardrobe game, like I feel so much cooler now because I've got some cool teenagers in the house. They start dressing you. It's great. So my son picked out my Merry hat. I'm feeling merry today. You guys have a Merry Christmas. I'm probably not going to do another podcast until after the holidays. But get on that website, get those tickets for our women's conference. Come and join us for Grace and Space that day. It's going to be a blast. Hope to see you there. Merry Christmas, everybody.